Over to you,
Yes.
Taranga. Please proceed.
Thank you, Aruna. And yeah, I hate to interrupt, but I mean, in ham radio, we all consider as peers. I always say this. I also learned this the hard way. I'll tell you one story as we go on. So there are no, I mean, there are no bosses, no teachers, no professors. Uh, in when you come to ham radio, no engineers. So we all consider to be equal. We are all peers. That's the gist of it. And it's lovely to have about 20 or yes, more than 20 participants for this session. And good evening to Prarthana also, who's joining with us from Bangladesh, our president. And I see some familiar faces. Manjula, Forest 7 Mike Alpha November, and Lalit, Forest 5 Kilo Alpha, yeah, Forest 5 Kilo Alpha, and a few others. So thank you very much for the warm welcome once again. I am not a pro. Yeah, no, not at all. I'm not a pro. Right. I mean, there will be places, instances where I do mistakes. I miss certain points. So I want this to be a discussion and not just a conventional lecture per se. So, uh, you know, I did this theory part, like the section that I'm going to do today, uh, sometime back, about I think more than 10 years back. So I may have forgotten certain things. So let's do a productive discussion and get ready for the exam. And at any point, if you have any questions, just raise your hand. So speak up. It's I don't consider that to be a interruption or a distraction. So I want you to be active and engage in the lesson and the other lessons to come. So with that, before moving on to the proper lesson for today, some of you reached out to me and asked, or rather requested some help in setting up or login into the LMS. I want to base my lessons on the learning management system, particularly for the sessions that I am going to do. The full course content is already there, so it's very easy for you to follow the session, follow along when we go through the LMS, learning management system. So if you have any questions regarding the LMS, just send us a text message or interrupt me anytime. I'm more than happy to help you. And for the moment, the LMS is uh, given to you as a membership benefit. And if you have not registered with the Radio Society, if you have not joined the Radio Society yet, I think it's more than worthy to join the RSSL and enjoy this LMS and the other so many benefits that you will find along the way. So to log on to the LMS, the URL is learn.rssl.lk. I hope you can see my screen, learn.rssl.lk. And there is one one open course, which is the introduction lesson. And to weave that course, you don't need to register, but for the others, to follow the other courses, you need to register. And if you click on this login button, you will be prompted for the username and password. And if you need to register as a fresh account, click this create new account, and we will be notified after you fill in the relevant information. And once you log in, go to this courses section, and I won't focus on the others, but I will briefly touch this introduction part. So for this amateur radio operators license course, and also for the radio amateur examination, my screen is not frozen, right, Buddhila?
No,
You
no,
can,
no.
okay. For your exam, as you may already know, There are three license categories in Sri Lanka: novice, general, and the advanced class. Each category has its own exam, and for the novice class and general class, there are two papers. First paper, basic electricity, radio and electronic theory, and the second paper, licensing conditions, operating practices, and procedures. I mean, both these are MCQ papers. Paper one having 2 hours duration, and paper one just 1 hour duration. And the pass mark for this is 50%. So, if I'm not mistaken, there are about 40 or 50 questions you need to score in, 50% of the total allocation. That's the pass mark. And for the advanced class exam, yes, you have two papers: advanced electrical technology and radio communications, paper one, 3 hours written paper, and paper two, licensing conditions, operating practices. The same paper with a little bit of advanced questions. That's again an MCQ with 2 hours. For the general and novice, there were 1 hour papers for licensing conditions. For advanced, 2 hour paper. And again, the pass mark is 50%. And we had this issue last time. There were applicants who did not meet the age requirement. Anyone, I don't think we have that issue this time. Anyone who is below 16 or 14 years. Altaf, how old are you, Altaf?
I am 40 now, turning 15.
14,
Yeah, this year 15.
15, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't catch that properly. Anyway, uh, I mean, the age limit, or rather the age limit for applying for the exam is 14 years. If you are 14 or older, you're eligible for the exam and you can apply for the exam. But the license is issued only when you uh, are 16 years of age, right? So that's actually one of the questions that you will encounter in the papers also. So keep that in mind. By 14 years, you can apply for the exam, and only at 16, you're eligible for the license, right? So I mean, we are trying with the TRC to bring that age limit down. I know in other countries that the story is different, but still that's the regulation in Sri Lanka. And throughout this course, we will base on the current prevailing regulations and conditions, some of which I should admit are very outdated because the syllabus is from 1990s, early 1990s, and it's how many years? Almost 40 years past. Uh, into 2026. So we are working with the TRC to do a syllabus change as well. But as you know, just like the other things, it takes time. So anyway, but for the moment, we are based on the current existing syllabus, and that is based on the technologies that were there in 1990s, early 90s. Right. So if you click on this first lesson, there are multiple sub lessons and reading materials, and also past papers, model questions, and so on and so forth. So you can also download the syllabuses from here, syllabi, if I'm to be grammatically correct, right? And you can do certain, a few quizzes also. Uh, these are MCQ quizzes. If you find any answer that is not correct, just let us know. We can update the LMS. Again, we could have done mistakes, so I need your help to proofread and uh, find faults in these systems also. So any comment is welcome. So before going on to any of those, I will start our lessons on this one. While our other teachers, Vijay, Senavi and the others, and also Ron, while they do elect the content related to the first paper, basic electrical and electronic technology, and yeah, basic electricity, radio, and electronic theory. While they do the paper one content, I will focus on the second paper, and we'll do a small, we'll take small steps. One more thing that I want to highlight is for the second paper, it's always advisable to have some listening practice, to have some listening background before you get into the exam. So uh, I think any of you, does any of you have a receiver, VHF receiver, or a HF receiver, shortwave receiver, or even an SDR, a software defined radio? Are you listening to any of the transmissions? Not only ham radio, but other transmissions, broadcast radio, anything as a practice, as a hobby even.
I do, sir.
Anyone who listens to these transmissions? Gayan,
I
yes,
do.
Gayan.
I,
Right. Any more?
Well,
Anyone else?
I did.
I listen to shortwave a lot. I set up a end-fed this half-wave dipole antenna, wire antenna, and that helps a lot to receive this shortwave broadcast, mostly from China. But
Great.
sometimes I hear the then I have SDR dongle, RTL SDR. Occasionally I hear Morse code, uh,
Right.
QRP. Yeah.
For the broadcast listening, Professor, what is the receiver that you use? Is it a commercial receiver or something that you built? For shortwave listening, Professor Halim, what is the equipment that you use? The receiver you use? Did you hear me? Oh, Buddhila, did I come through? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you very clear, fine, but I think I don't know if
Sorry, I was muted. For the shortwave, I am using the a commercial radio receiver, Radio
Right.
Shack. It's something I
Okay.
bought a long time ago. It has, I think, from 2.5 megahertz up to 9.9 megahertz. That's shortwave range. So there aren't any broadcast in Sri Lanka at this time in shortwave, but I receive from China mostly. There are some in English. Then the RTL SDR dongle can scan, so that also receives shortwave.
Right.
In continuous wave, I tried, it didn't work. SSW, sometimes I hear some Morse code transmissions.
Right.
Yeah.
So I encourage all of you to listen to these transmissions. If you could listen to ham radio transmissions, then that would be beneficial in your exam. That's for a fact I know. So there are, when you go through the course, you will realize that there are some short codes, some short forms, and certain abbreviations that we use, and certain practices we use in reporting the signals. So that for that, listening practice, hearing practice is very important. You can do all the theory-based questions without hesitation. I'm certain, I'm 100% sure that you can score well more than 50% for that paper. But for the second one, listening alone will give you 50%, right? You will, for most of the questions, just having listened to these ham radio transmissions will help a big deal. So I encourage you to listen to ham radio transmissions either on HF or VHF. For VHF, we have a daily net at 9 p.m. Even right now, it's live and going 9 p.m. every day on Yatiyantota and Pidrutalagala repeaters. I can give you the frequencies if you are interested. So if you have a SDR or a VHF receiver, or even something that you a receiver that you assembled or built, I encourage you to start listening right from today if you haven't started that. So that'll help you a big deal. Since you listen to Samira, since you listen to ATC traffic, I think you can easily listen to the VHF transmissions also, which fall on the 144, 146 range, which we call the 2-meter band. We'll come to all those band allocations, band explanations, and references later. And I also want to show you the ultimate license that you are hunting, that you are working for. So this is the license issued by the TRCSL, and it's a book. It's a hard copy. It's a paper book, and here you will have the registered equipment and some regulations and conditions that are applicable to your license category. So I can actually share one of the scanned copies of these regulations pages. So from that also you can you can cover a lot of theory from that scans also. And again, out of context, we are trying with the TRC to get this digitized and issue digital licenses. We'll see how it goes, and we've been trying that for some time now. Let's see. So moving back to the session for today, I will start from this one, the licensing conditions and regulations section. And our ultimate outcome, or the goal for this lesson is to understand the key licensing conditions and operating practices, and also technical provisions. And there are some best practices and also procedures that you need to follow in amateur radio transmissions. And the picture changes from general radio operation to some serious nature when it comes to emergency data handling, emergency traffic handling. And there you need to follow certain strict protocols, and you need to be super conversant, fluent, and without ambiguity. So you need to transmit the particular information with the minimum time as possible, and also to learn the other regulations and rules that govern the amateur radio operations in Sri Lanka. Everything is based on Sri Lankan context, and we will stick to that. So I'll give you a brief general overview, and these are questions that will be asked in the exam also. If you have a notebook with you, you can take notes. I may not pause for taking notes, but this is already available in the LMS. I will briefly highlight on a few points that you need to by heart and remember. Sorry. So the first things first, an amateur radio station or an amateur station is a station in the amateur radio service, right? Not hobby, service. This is how it is referred to in the TRC syllabuses and everywhere else. So an amateur station is a station in the amateur radio service used for non-commercial. This is important. Non-commercial and also self-training, intercommunication, and technical investigations. So you need to highlight some keywords: non-commercial, self-training, technical. These key points you need to remember and write in your answers as well. And then comes the question: what is the amateur service? It's a radio communication service for individuals interested in radio techniques, solely for personal and non-commercial purposes. Again, there is a redundancy here, but you need to, seriously think about and remember this. This is for personal and also non-commercial purposes only. A radio communication service that is for individuals interested in radio techniques solely for personal and non-commercial purposes, right? And then comes the question: who's an amateur radio operator? Amateur radio operator is a licensed individual who is authorized to operate an amateur station, which is the station that we discussed earlier. And he is allowed to use certain frequency bands from the spectrum, which are specifically allocated for amateur radio use only. As I mentioned the other day, you are one of the few lucky people on earth who get to play with the spectrum without paying millions of dollars or rupees. And once you get the license, once you get this license, you are allocated with a unique call sign, which exists only for you in the world. That's a unique call sign that is allocated only for you in the world. So it's like the most important thing for a ham. So earning this call sign is the most important thing for a ham. And we often, I'll tell you one more point, which is not related to the syllabus or the exam, but when we refer to other hams, like for example, if I want to call Aruna with relation to ham radio activities on the ham radio forums, I may call him as Aruna 4S6 Alpha Juliet Alpha, handle followed by the call sign, handle followed by the call sign. So that is how we cherish the call sign. So that, I mean, you needed to go through some painful period of study to earn the license, and once you earn it, or rather get it allocated for you, don't hesitate, don't be reluctant to use the handle and the call sign in all the amateur radio forums. And these are some general information. Why amateur radio is important: because it connects people worldwide using radio waves, and you are not dependent on the internet or the telephone. We have proven it in the history, and I don't need to waste time explaining how we did that. But we are not dependent on the internet or the telephone, although we can use internet and telephone to extend this service. Like, you can still send emails using ham radio or other radio waves. You can still do SMS using radio waves, but without having internet on your site, right? We can do some, there's nothing preventing you from using internet, but we are not dependent on it. That's the important thing. When it comes to an emergency, yes, again, we have proven in the tsunamis and the landslides, and then the recent cyclonic catastrophe, that ham radio provides a reliable communication. As a first responder, ham radio provides a reliable communication method during those times of emergencies. And once the communication links are established with the say the military or the other organizations, I think our purpose is done. Then we can evacuate from the site and let them continue their work. But we, as a volunteer group, are super efficient and quick to deploy than those established organizations. That we have seen it in the past more than a few times. And that happens worldwide as well. Hams or radio amateurs as first responders have proven themselves as super efficient group of a bunch of people than the established emergency communication or emergency disaster management organizations. And that's not the case. I mean, not only the case in Sri Lanka, but worldwide as well. And with this, with this license, with these provisions, you get to promote your technical skills. You can build on antennas, receivers, transmitters within the legal limit. Like you can still build a radio transmitter, an FM transmitter. I'm sure most of you have done that. But at one point, then you start violating the law of the land, right? You can still use it. You can still experiment within a short. You start violating the law. Why we have uh, a legal way to do it? Why violate, or why you need to infringe the law while you have a legal method to do it? So you get, again, I want to emphasize that you get so much bandwidth, so much playroom in the spectrum, and you can still do a productive experiment, communication, establish some meaningful communication with someone who's just like you by getting this license. And I'm glad that you are here because of, I mean, I don't need to preach the choir. For that matter, you're here because you understood the importance of it. But you may come across different people who are doing what I mentioned earlier. So encourage them to do it the legal way. If they are interested in experimentation and ham radio, ask them to get into ham radio. But if their sole intention is just to do some communication, for example, like allow me to say that say there's a bunch of people who wants to communicate when they are on a hike, and all they do is they do hiking, and they are not interested in emergency communications or help in the community or whatever. And I'll pose this question before you. What options do they have to achieve their goal without infringing or without violating the law? What options do they have in Sri Lanka? They are hikers, bunch of teenagers. They are not interested in ham radio. What can they do? Do we convince them to be hams and get them enrolled? Should we? You can speak, huh? Yes, Professor?
Yes, Taranga. Now I know that in some countries they have some bands like Citizens Band, GMRS or whatever. That is a different type of licensing, or they don't need licensing at all. Are there any such provisions in Sri Lanka? I'm just curious.
Yes. Yeah, although GMRS is not here, we have the other version of it, PMR, Public Mobile Radio. So I'll take it from there, Professor. So yes, what you said is absolutely correct. They can either use CB, Citizens Band, or Public Mobile Radio, PMR. In Sri Lankan context, both of them are licensed. I mean, they need to be licensed. But in contrary to amateur radio, they are not issued with a license like this. They are issued with the license to import and own equipment, right? Import and possess these equipment only. So if you come across, I'm sure you come across these questions when you hang out with your friends. So if you come across with a bunch of friends who are interested in hiking or four-wheel drive or event coordination, event management or whatever, and they are not interested, if they are not interested in getting into ham radio and working in these ham bands, what the biggest help that you can do for the ham community is to make them aware of these options. That's why I wanted to touch this on the very first day. There are public mobile radio PMR and CB citizen band licenses issued by the TRC. Their applications are given in the TRC website. You can apply and get licensed. If I'm not mistaken, you can import 5 radios per time per license. 5 or 12. You need to check with the TRC website for this. But you are allowed to own and import equipment, possess and import equipment.
So,
So
if someone has a PMR, so he can legally own it and he can legally use it, right?
yeah,
In there, if the do they have any specific bands?
yes. PMR, PMR is channelized. PMR is they work on 446 megahertz.
Only UHF.
Sections. UHF. The
So
requirement for
they are only allowed to use UHF.
I'm not familiar with other bands, but UHF PMR is the most common allocation. Something you can check, Buddhila. Maybe there are other bands also, but PMR 446 is the most common one. And why it is different from, yes, why I was going to come to that, Samira. Yes, why it is different from ham radio transmitters, the PMR handles. This could be a ham radio or a amateur radio handheld transceiver, and why this is different from a PMR version of this. First, one thing is the power restriction that Samira commented here. Generic handheld transceiver like this in ham radio may transmit on average 5 watts. Nowadays they have about 11-12 watts also, but on average 5 watts is the transmission power for ham radio. Ham radio handheld transceivers or HTs, right? But for PMR, radios, the maximum allowed transmit power is 500 milliwatts. 500 milliwatts. And there's one more requirement. Unlike these ham radio handheld transceivers, where you can switch your antenna, right? You can remove the antenna and plug in a new one. In fact, this one is also not the factory fitted one. The PMR radios, on the PMR radios, you cannot take the antenna out, or you cannot switch the antennas, right? I won't give you model numbers. You can search on the internet. But if you are applying, if you or anyone else is applying for a PMR radio, make sure that it is a 500 milliwatt and antenna not detachable version, right? So that's about PMR, and CB is a different thing that works closely on close to 10 meters band, roughly on 27 megahertz. And yes, but you are allowed to have licenses for PMR, CB, and also for ham radio. So with the 500 milliwatt limitation, there comes range differences, range limitations, and also the other since as I mentioned, it's channelized. You cannot tune across the band and operate at any desired point. There are, I think, 16 or 12 PMR channels. You can only operate on those channels, right? Hope that was clear. So we will not be talking about PMR or citizens band in our discussion today. We will only be focusing on ham radio, not only for today, but for the rest of the class also. Any questions on that? Any questions, any comments, anything? While I get this working. Yes, Gan?
Mr. Tarang, do we have any
Yeah,
way to
first,
check?
hold on. Don't call me Mr. Taranga. As I mentioned, we all appears just Taranga.
Yeah, okay, Tarang. Okay, okay. Do we have any option to check the available call signs? You
Yeah.
mean I want to get my own call sign? If it is available or not already, how we can check it? What are the ways we can check it?
Yes. So again, after so many requests from the RSSL, TRC has now published the call sign database in a PDF version. This is not the most up-to-date version, but still you can get an idea of what the call signs allocation, what the call signs were allocated, right? If you go on to the TRC website, industry and spectrum management, because we deal with the spectrum management all the time. And under here, you have radio communication services. And the first thing or the second thing that you see is amateur services, right? Amateur services. You go to the very bottom of it, and this is the call sign issued list, right? I think this was not updated since after April last year. But anyway, you can get an idea of what the call signs were allocated, right? Is that okay, Gayan? Yeah, right. Any more questions? And this is the schedule, the frequency schedule. If you are competent enough, if you are clever enough to understand this, I mean, you can pass the exam without any doubt. See how clear that is. So don't use that. Go to our website, and I'll show you the allocation in a clear manner. The first lesson, this one. Okay, somewhere here I added the frequency allocation in a clear way, but go through the lessons and find it. And also for any operators that are working who are working in these HF bands, we have a new graphical representation of the frequency bands. More, I mean, not all of them, but the most common frequencies that we use in HF operations. In this one, resources, Sri Lankan band plan. Where's it? Here. So this is a graphical representation, and this shows the frequencies that are allocated for different licenses, license categories as well. For example, I'll tell you how to read this. Let's take this one, 160 meters, for example. Is it clear? Can you see this? Can Buddhila, you can see this,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah,
Right?
it's clear.
If you take 160-meter allocation in Sri Lanka, which is from 1800 kilohertz to 2000, or 1.8 megahertz to 2 megahertz, the general and advanced 4S6 and 4S7 licenses are allowed to operate from 1.8 to 2 megahertz. Clear? Right? But for the 4S5, it is not permitted. This this color represents not permitted, which is the for the novice class, 160 meters is not permitted. Am I clear? And when it comes to 80 meters, it gets interesting. For 80 meters, which starts from 3.5 megahertz to 3.9, 3.5 to 3.9, general and advanced class holders are are allowed to operate from all the way from 3.5 to 3.9. And there are specific subdivisions. I won't highlight them here. But for the novice class holders, they are allowed to operate only from 3.5 to 3.6. Clear? 3.5 to 3.6 only. Whereas general and advanced are allowed to operate up to 3.9. So this 300 kilohertz allocation is not given for novice class holders. In fact, 80 meters and a part of this 15 meter, which is 21 megahertz, this part from 21,125 to 21,200, this 75 kilohertz portion are the only HF allocations given for novice class. Is that clear? For general and advanced, all the frequency allocations are the same, right? General and advanced frequency allocations are the same. The only difference is the maximum allowed transmission power. I'll come to that later. But for novice, only a small section of or small portion of the 15 meter spectrum and 80 meter spectrum, 15 meters and 80 meters, right? For novice, 80 meters and 15 meters, two small portions only. But for advanced and general classes, the full allocation is given. Is that clear? Any questions? Still, I have not touched the licensing conditions section. I am just clearing out doubts and setting the background. So far, is it clear about the frequency allocations and the license categories? So 4S5 represents the novice class, 4S6 general, 4S7 advanced. We used to have 2-letter call signs until up to about 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Pratana can correct me if I'm wrong. So after that, we started using 3-letter suffixes. 4S7, example, 4S7 ABC, 4S5 XYZ. Before that, we had 2-letter call signs, 4S5 kilo alpha KA. Any questions on that? I hope everything is clear. So moving back to our lesson. So you can go through the LMS and we watch that video also. I'm not going to wait for that. So there are some reading materials here, and then we have these are actually case studies and project reports of what we did during the emergencies. I need to update this with the recent work as well. And we have a quiz. Shall we do some questions in the quiz as a group? I need you to answer, right? I need you to answer. So the first question is, what does a call sign represent? You all can talk, right, and ask questions. Maybe discuss all the answers as well. What does a call sign represent? Easy questions. බුද්ධිල කියන්න ඉතින් ඉර කරන් ඉන්න එපා.
The
The identifier of an amateur station.
Yes, the identifier of an amateur station. And the next one, what does the amateur service contribute to the society? What's the sole purpose? I mean, do they replace mobile phones, manufacture radio equipment, technical education and emergency communication, and exclusive entertainment channels? Saji? See, yeah, obviously, yes. And I'm sure that most of your friends may have the same feeling of ham radio. Like when you tell them that you are into ham radio, the first question that comes to you must be like, can we listen to music, or do you play requests? Do you take requests? Can we play music on ham radio frequencies? Are we allowed to play music?
No, right? That would be interference, right?
Yeah, we are not allowed. You can't play music or any third part, or you can't even relay third party traffic through ham radio uh, frequencies. There are regulations, covering that those sections. Will come to that later. But since it popped up in the question, I just wanted to highlight. So keep remember these things. The same things you will be asked in the exam as well. So nothing to you really don't need to work so hard. Just take this, or rather continue this discussion, and then these are like easy questions. An amateur radio station is a station used for personal and non-commercial. Two keywords: personal and non-commercial purposes. Okay. What is prohibited in ham radio? What is prohibited in ham radio?
D, engaging in commercial activities.
Yeah. Even though it's an emergency, you can't, uh, abruptly communicate during emergencies. There's a protocol to follow. There's a, a pattern of traffic to follow. So you can't abruptly communicate in even during an emergency. And Sampath, that's a good question. Encoded messages, encoded transmissions are not allowed in ham radio. It has to be open and public. Although, I mean, encoding, yes, there are different encoding methods. Like you can't cipher them and transmit. That's what I want to highlight. It has to be in plain and open.
So in this question, there are two answers: coordinating emergency communication, but normally it is allowed, is it?
No, it is not normally allowed. Only with a special permission, with a special approval, and following to the strict protocols only.
So here there are two answers then. Even commercial activities are not allowed.
For in this question, yes, there's a little ambiguity. In emergency communications, you can transmit, but strictly following the protocols only. But I think the best answer for this would be to not engage in commercial activities. That is a straightaway answer, right, Professor?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Can we communicate like military language? Is it allowed or not? Samir, what's the military language that you meant here? No. Okay, this is another good question. So in ham radio, we use the international or the NATO phonetic alphabet, right?
I think for the screen is not moving in my system. Still question 5. Oh, now it's okay.
Right. So we use the international phonetic alphabet only. Samira, right? So when it comes to the alphabet, as you said, there are there are different words that people use to represent alphabetic letters. But we stick to the international or the NATO phonetic alphabet only. Alpha for A, or the other way, A for Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, so on and so forth. No, Morse code is allowed. Morse code is not considered a military language, and it is not even an encode, a form of encoded transmission. It's open. You can, I mean, there could be methods to encode it, but still you can receive and decode Morse code as long as you are conversant on Morse code. So about this Roger thing, radio hams usually don't use Roger, but I mean, the standard is not to use Roger, but we all do that. We have to admit, to accept or to acknowledge a message, we sometimes use Roger. But yeah, but we use words like QSL, which we will come to in a later stage. There are Q codes, abbreviated forms of messages that we use in ham radio. Roger, I can't really deny you the usage of Roger. We do use it, but it is not encouraged. Of course, the military military may use it frequently. Clear, positive, affirmative, negative, those words, those are used. Yes, I have not heard of tango positive. I'm not. I don't know that that phrase. Maybe you can explain. මොකද්ද සමීර tango positive කියලා use කරනගේ? All right, okay. එහෙම නෑ මම දන්නේ නෑ මේ සමීර. No, I'm not. Yeah, no. I'm not really aware of that. Anyway, we are not using those words. We stick to when it comes to the alphabet, we use the international or the NATO accepted phonetic alphabet. අපි ඒක ඉස්සරහට discuss කරමු. But just to wrap up this, let me pick another question. Okay, this one is a good case study. We can do a small discussion on this. A scenario where amateur radio could be used effectively in an emergency. Share real life examples and if you know any. Yeah, you can refer to the recent activities, but more than that, I'd like to hear from you. Any, let's take out the emergency part also. Any activities in the society where you can use amateur radio? Any general activity or anywhere you can help the community with ham radio, amateur radio? Any ideas? Buddhila. Yes, sir. Just one example. Emergencies like floods, tsunamis, landslides. That is like the go-to activity that comes into your mind.
Yeah,
so forget about that.
Traditional telecommunication methods are not available.
Yeah. Okay, that's not an application.
That's a
narrow it down.
For example, like terrorist attacks.
Don't think too extreme. There are places where you can use ham radio without going to the terrorist activities or emergencies. Okay, folk songs. Yes, Mihran, good. As games, sporting activities, radio direction finding, hunting down interference. Fox hunt, if you're not familiar, fox hunt is like the fancy word that we use for radio direction finding. In fact, the Radio Society conducts an annual fox hunting competition. We'll see when we can do the next one for this year. When hill climbing, hiking, yes. But Shuja, to answer your question, this is like a vague gray area. Communicating in encrypted language or encrypted form is not allowed. But I know there's a lot of encryption happening when it comes to the digital transmissions, right? But the point is they have to be, it should not be like a hidden transmission or a super secret transmission. Anybody who have the proper equipment should be able to receive it and decode it without going for any proprietary encryption methods or rather decryption methods or anything. Like for military and police, they have encrypted transmissions, right? And there are many others also. But if you have a, you can still listen to that. You can still listen to that that garbage or the distorted voices on radio. But in order to extract the information or to get the audible or rather intelligence out of the signal, you need the proper decryption keys, no?
So if you
Ham
are
radio shouldn't be like that.
So if you are encrypting in ham radio bands, we have to broadcast the encryption key first. So then we can encrypt, right?
We are not allowed. I mean, then it is not public, right, Buddhila?
I mean, if we are before we are going to encrypted communication, right, we are broadcasting the encryption key to the public.
So the key, I mean, so the key has to be something that is worldwide accepted or something, right? Then the purpose of encryption is not met there.
I mean, if you are doing it for testing purposes, I mean,
yeah, if, maybe you can, but it is not advisable.
I mean, it's
according to the law, no, encryption is not allowed. But I'll tell you this: there are digital technique, there digital transmissions, even on VHF and other VHF, UHF and other bands. More, I mean, our repeaters work on analog FM only, right? But there are digital forms of transmission, digital repeaters available that transmit on digital modes. But those modes are worldwide accepted, and you don't need a specific key to decode that. That the digital transmissions is different from encrypted transmissions.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to highlight. Yeah, Aruna.
That I think time is what we have scheduled is until 10 o'clock, but with the consent of the participants, you can continue. No issue if they like.
Yeah, so I still didn't touch the.
Okay, then we'll continue.
Or rather, get into the.
I think participants are interested. No issue, no. Okay.
Yeah, let's work until about 10:30 and then wind up for today. We can continue this discussion. So I was on the applications of ham radio, where you can use ham radio in real life, apart from the communication, operator to operator communication. There are contests, worldwide contests, competitions, and competitions like direction finding and fox hunts. Yes, but one thing you need to stick to.
Could it also be used for experimentation, like people make their own stuff and then want to test and all that?
Exactly.
I think we can.
Exactly, that is one of the prime objectives.
I think we can talk to the International Space Station also, right?
Yes, yes. I may have said this earlier also, but in the NASA program, for one to be an astronaut, passing this, or rather being a radio amateur, is compulsory. All the NASA astronauts on board are radio amateurs. So you get the importance. Not sure about the Russian and the Chinese programs, but for NASA, I know it's compulsory. And even on this recent Artemis crew, all of them are radio hams. But for this operation, for this mission, they are not taking any amateur radio equipment with them. But on board the International Space Station, there are ham radio transponders, and they switch between voice and sometimes SSTV, slow scan TV, time to time, depending on the demand and the regions that they want to cover. So it's very, I mean, it's a little difficult to talk to the ISS from here to contact the crew on board, because they want to save batteries also. So they usually shut down the voice transponder when they are above the Asia region. But when they are on the Europe and the US, where there are so many hams and schools who want to talk to them, they usually keep the voice transponder on. But they do SSTV transmissions frequently. You can follow their activities on their website also, amsat.co.uk, if I'm not mistaken. AMSAT, amateur radio satellite, AMSAT. Search for it.
So I think we are not limited to HF, VHF, UHF, but we can we are allowed to use satellite communications also, right? 2.4 gigahertz.
2.4 and even above. 13 centimeters, 23 centimeters. All these are allowed for ham radio operators within the band of within the spectrum, of course, right? Without interfering to other parties. So before I miss this, so I'll tell you one more example where you can do this as a service to the community. You know, this Aurudut service coming in a few days. So in your village, if there's a marathon or a cycle race, and you need to coordinate with the organizers, and you know, sometimes waiting for the other party to pick up the call, the race may have finished, the first person may have even finished, right? So what can you do? Can you take 2 walkie-talkies or the handheld radios like this and go on and operate? Of course, I know there are people doing that, and that is not legal. As radio hams, we are not doing such illegal activities. But if you happen to have 2 or more radio hams in your village, or your friend is also a licensed person, invite him to your Aurudut server, and then help the community, help the Urdu organizing committee by contacting, or rather by communicating with you and the other licensed person only. Remember, only between 2 licensed operators, not with the Grama Sevak and others. Only with licensed operators. Ham radio is only for licensed operators. Remember the one of the first few definitions we had. So you can still help the community, but within your limits, respecting your limits, because at the end of the day, your call sign and your friend's call sign will be used on air. And TRC may, listen and record these transmissions, and if they wanted to investigate, then you will be in trouble. But I don't want to discourage you. You can use that without causing any interference to other transmissions also. Since you are not licensed at the moment, I think I just wanted to, open up these opportunities for you. I mean, there are things that you can use ham radio for without going to extreme cases. Any other thoughts? Any other ideas?
So vehicles Do we have to have a separate license or any additional permission?
Yes. For vehicles and for mobile operations, you need to get a special license, special approval for the same call sign. For the same call sign, when you are applying for the license, it's not given here. Anyway, for the same call sign, you can apply for a station license and also a mobile license. For the mobile license, you are requested to send the vehicle information, the registration number and everything. And then you are allowed to use your call sign with the suffix stroke M. That is stroke mobile. For example, 4S6 Tango Mike Papa stroke mobile hyphen mobile. Like this, okay? Not only for vehicles, if you travel or if you fly on board an aircraft, you can still use your call sign with the suffix stroke aeronautical mobile alpha Mike. And if you sail on a cruise ship or a merchant ship, and you can still use your call sign with the suffix stroke maritime mobile Mike maritime mobile. Mobile for ground vehicles, aeronautic mobile or aeronautical mobile for flying crafts, and maritime mobile for sailing ships. But for everything, you need to get prior license. That is important. You need to apply and get the prior approval. Then only you can use the call signs accordingly, like the same call sign with that particular suffix. And one more thing, for portable operations, portable is different from mobile operations. Mobile is for moving vehicles. Portable is, taking this handle from my registered QTH or the station to somewhere else. For that, you don't need, according to the recent clarification from TRC, you don't need special permission to operate portable. That is to operate these handhelds outside your registered QTH, registered location. Is that clear? This does not fall into mobile category. This is portable, okay? Portable is different from mobile. If I am operating this from the town or somewhere, which is more than few kilometers from my registered location, then I operate as 4S6 Tango Mike Papa portable. 4S6 Tango Mike Papa portable. Or 4S6 Tango Mike Papa stroke P. Is that clear? 4S6 TMP stroke P. So we don't usually call stroke P, but 4S6 Tango Mike Papa portable. Right? I hope that's clear. Okay. Any more thoughts or questions before we move on to the next one? So I think I'll start the licensing conditions and general rules in the next on our next lesson. This is important. Some of the points we have covered even today also, like the age limitation and the other competency requirements. But I mean, from here onwards, there comes a little technical information and points. Sampath, we have a question. Can we use both mobile and station at the same time? Mobile and station. Can you clarify that? Mobile and station. Look at the mobile and station keyword. Like the base station and the handheld. At the same
Yes.
time.
That you told that there are multiple devices that we can get. Then if we get handheld device, plus we have a base station or something like that, then can we communicate among those two or maybe simultaneously can we use both or something like that?
You can, as long as you are using the correct call sign. Like, say that I have my call sign, I have a handheld transceiver, and I have a base station. It's very rare that you that you use the handheld and the base station at the same time with the same call sign. I mean, you can do that. There's nothing preventing you from doing it.
I
You
think
can do that.
it will be possible, right? From the base station, we are talking to the repeater, and from the handheld, we are talking to another licensed person.
Yeah, at the same time. Okay. By at the same time, you meant not exactly at the same time, but yeah, I get your point. You can use that. Sampath, there's no issue. So since we have about another 10-20 minutes, would you like to see some equipment? I might be able to show you some. Maybe show you. I have, so there was a question asked in the main group about the repeaters. So we have some, I think Samir asked it. We have several types of repeaters deployed right now. As Victor responded to that question, we have commercial repeaters made by companies like Yaesu, and then we have repeaters that were assembled by our fellow members using repeater modules. For example, TP radio is one module that we use, TP radio modules. And then also we have backup repeaters, which are easy to take from one place to another during times of emergencies and depending on the requirement, that are built using two base station transceivers. Two base station transceivers. Like there are different base station transceivers by Motorola and Kenwood, mostly Motorola. So we have built repeaters using those base station transceivers, one for the receiver, one for the transmitter. And you may have seen on YouTube and other internet spaces where people build repeaters using handheld transceivers like this. Two handheld transceivers like this. You can do that, no problem. You can do that, but they will not be as rugged and durable as dedicated repeaters. Why? So a repeater is something that always transmits, right? Example, now understand this clearly. Say that I'm transmitting from here to Kalaniya to Buddhila, right? From here to Buddhila, over there in Kalaniya, from Kurunayagala to Kalaniya. I talk through the repeater. And when I'm talking, the repeater is retransmitting what I say. Okay, retransmitting what I say with a very short delay. And when Buddhila's transmitting, my radio, my handheld transceiver is not transmitting, but still the repeater is transmitting. He is repeating what Buddhila says. So whenever either party, whether me or Buddhila, any one of us talks, the repeater always transmits. Although my personal equipment stays silent when the other party is transmitting. Understood? So the repeater has to operate on full duty cycle, 100% duty. But our transmitters operate on 50% duty cycle only. Our handheld transmitter, like when I'm talking, yes, this is transmitting. When the other party is transmitting, this is only listening. The transmitter is not working. Clear? But it's not the same in repeaters. So the repeater has to be durable. It has to withstand the operating temperatures. It gets heated. And there are some other issues that we need to eliminate when it comes to repeaters like interference. So if you take the VHF repeaters that we use or most commonly used in amateur radio world, they come with a 600 kilohertz offset. Example, when we are transmitting on the Pidrutalagala repeater, our receive frequency is 145.650. Right, that is the frequency that we tune in to listen to our Pidrutalagala repeater, 145.650. But when we press the PTT, the transmitting signal or the input to the repeater is 600 kilohertz less than the receive frequency. We call it minus 600 shift. So the input frequency to the repeater would be 145, not 650, but 050, 145.050 kilohertz. Understood? So we transmit on 050, we receive on 650. Only 600 kilohertz difference. So you need super good filters to separate the receive frequency from the transmit frequency. Understood? In technical terms, you need very high Q, or rather quality factor. You need a very high Q to separate the transmit frequency from receive frequency. To achieve that, you need to have very efficient, or rather very good filters. We call them cavity filters. So the cavity filters, I'll show you some pictures later. You can also search on the internet. Maybe 4 cavity, 6 cavity filters. Why you need such big filters? Just to separate, to isolate the transmit frequency from receive frequency. What happens if you don't do that? Then there will be desensing. Just 1 second. So I hope you understood it. I know this opens some serious questions which we can discuss in our later sessions. There's a question about 433 ISM band. In Sri Lanka, Shuja, ISM band is not defined as ISM band. It's called the low power short range band or something in Sri Lanka. And for us radio hams, it is shared. It is a shared band. We share the 433 UHF spectrum with other parties, and we use it on secondary basis. So if I may to go back to the band plan. So this is shared with other operators and other devices, garage door openers, vehicle key fobs, and so on and so forth. So this one, we have to be careful that we will not cause interference to other transmissions, right? So the question was, since encryption is prohibited in ham radio services, does the restriction also apply? Yeah, wherever the ham radio transmissions are there, this encryption law is applied. So that is the gray area. This LoRa, Meshtastic, and other like VoIP protocols. Yes, these rules are a little outdated. They have to be. They need some updates to match the recent developments. But it's the law. Encryption is not allowed. Right, Arun. I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
No? Over to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Then we'll continue. Please use the same link what we have created that can be used continuously, and I'll just send you a reminder only so we can continue this class on the same time Thursdays until if there is if we come across any issue, we will let you know. Other than that, same schedule we are following. Every Thursday. 9 to 10 p.m. All right. Good night for everybody. Good. Thank you, Taranga. Thank you, Pratana, for motivating with us, and until the end, you were there. Okay. Good luck,
Right.
everybody.
Thank you, 73, and good night.
Good night as well.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.